almost the anniversary of the beginning of the Second Karabakh War. It's known that on September 27, 2020, the Azerbaijani army launched counter-offensive operations after the provocation of Armenian terrorists used as a tool. The 44-day war ended on November 10th with a trilateral statement signed by the leaders of Azerbaijan, Russia, and Armenia. With the signing of this statement, we witnessed the deployment of Russian so-called peacekeepers in Karabakh under the guise of ensuring the security of the population in the region. However, the support of the Russian military contingent to the armed Armenians for the sake of Russian imperial interests, their failure to fulfill their missions caused great dissatisfaction in the Azerbaijani society. A well-known political scientist, former security officer Arastun Oruzlu, noted that the open support of Russian so-called peacekeepers for Armenian terrorists causes legitimate dissatisfaction in Azerbaijani officials and society. They didn't ensure the withdrawal of Armenian armed groups from the occupied territories, but provided them with military training, facilitated the delivery of new military equipment and manpower to the region. In my opinion, Azerbaijan must first act in three directions to prevent these points. The first direction. Russia wants an agreement with Baku on granting peacekeeping status to its servicemen in Azerbaijan. This shouldn't be allowed at all, because the subsequent complications may be more serious. The second direction is that Azerbaijan should regularly record the violations of the Russian so-called peacekeepers and demand an explanation from the Russian government. Third, using the first and second points, Azerbaijan must achieve joint control over the Lachin corridor, because Russia hasn't been fulfilling its obligations. Azerbaijan is the only party that complies with the terms of the Trilateral Declaration. Azerbaijan is a victorious country, and it turns out that it fulfills the conditions dictated to it as if defeated. This is wrong. It's necessary to work as hard as possible to control the Lachin corridor, at least together with the Russian militaries, so that both Armenian troops are withdrawn from Karabakh and new weapons and manpower are not allowed to be brought there. Under no circumstances can Russian servicemen be granted official peacekeeping status. This can only be done within the UN or the OSCE. On the other hand, the status that can be given to Russian peacekeepers in Azerbaijan, as they are in fact behaving like an occupying army, will further strengthen their position. These so-called peacekeepers will definitely feel like the owners of the region. The non-issuance of the mandate leaves the Russians in a state of legal uncertainty, and the process must be maintained. There can be no question of any mandate. The fate of Khankendi depends on the issues I have listed so far: Russian-Armenian relations, Russia's goals in Karabakh, and how far it can go. Sometimes it's claimed that Azerbaijan can carry out an anti-terrorist operation. I don't think that this operation will be carried out in Khankendi. We had the opportunity to restore our state sovereignty over Khankendi on November 9th, but unfortunately it wasn't done. Now, using all means, it's necessary to instill 2 points in the Armenian population living there. This means that they must either accept the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and citizenship of Azerbaijan and stay there, or Azerbaijan will not create an opportunity for them to continue separatist activities. The fate of Khankendi can be resolved only in this case. After the withdrawal of Russian troops from Karabakh, we can restore state sovereignty over Khankendi. As long as Russian troops are there, we don't have enough opportunities to decide the fate of Khankendi. To be honest, I don't expect that the Zangezur corridor will be opened. The current Armenian government is well aware that the Zangezur corridor is primarily intended to ensure Russia's access to Iran and the Middle East through this corridor through Nakhchivan. In other words, Russia needs a corridor for the transportation of weapons and military forces. Russia is opening a military strategic corridor to access the Middle East and have a say in global politics. Of course, at this point, it's trying to use both Azerbaijan and Armenia. If Armenia doesn't give the Zangezur corridor, I don't think we should insist on this issue, because the Zangezur corridor is of some importance to us, but this issue serves the interests of 90% of Russia. It's possible to use the non-opening of the corridor as a diplomatic factor and, in the end, to withdraw from the statement, as the conditions of the November 10th statement haven't been met. This is possible when the political and geopolitical reality emerges. At present, this is not possible, but no one can rule it out in the future. Armenia is carrying out provocations together with Russia in a planned manner so that the Azerbaijani side launches an anti-terrorist operation and clashes with Russian troops, and Russia to deploy more military forces in the region under the guise of protecting its peacekeepers. This is a scenario already implemented in South Ossetia in 2008. At present, propagandists and experts close to the Kremlin are openly threatening Azerbaijan with this scenario. It's possible that they are making such a preventive threat, fearing that Azerbaijan may conduct an anti-terrorist operation. But in any case, this is a risky step. I think the time hasn't come for anti-terrorist operations yet. It's necessary to silence the provocateurs with retaliatory fire and make it as effective as possible. The process of signing a peace agreement can be the result of long negotiations. It's impossible to resolve a conflict with a history of more than 30 years through a peace agreement in a short time. There are external factors. They have a negative attitude to the peace process. Although they all talk about peace, in fact, they have completely different goals. In my opinion, if Georgia is the mediator, peace talks can be started. In the course of the work, it will become clear how the issue will be resolved and under what conditions the peace agreement will be signed. Azerbaijan is a country that has won the war, while Armenia has lost, suffered heavy losses, and almost all the infrastructure in the country has collapsed. In this situation, the only way out for Armenia would be to recognize the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. But for many reasons, especially domestic ones, they are still unable to do so. In any case, the peace process must begin. For example, through Georgia, the influence of major powers with interests in the region trying to use conflict as their tool on the peace process can be neutralized. As long as they have influence, no peace agreement can be signed. As an example, I can cite the format of the OSCE Minsk Group co-chairs. All that is needed for peace is long-term negotiations, the determination of conditions, the opening of communications, the restoration of economic ties, at least in part, and the establishment of a certain mutual trust. Once trust has been established, a peace agreement can be considered. For now, it's too early. We've reached the end of our video. I invite you to hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your attention.